company that showed the most interest was based in Los Angeles, and they said, we'll cut you a deal. You come out here for a month, work for free as an intern. You have what it takes. We will send you on the road with Diana Ross as a crew member.
Okay.
And here I was, 20 years old. I said, sign me up. I'm in.
What year is this?
85. They had a Debbie Harry painting.
Oh, I know those. I've seen that.
And I texted her in the moment, hey, I'm standing in front of your Warhol painting. How are you?
I'm going to be teaching a class in Pennsylvania. And I'm going to be doing that this summer. And it's in Erie, Pennsylvania. But in order to get to Erie, Pennsylvania from Austin, there's no direct path. So you have to come either play hopscotch with the planes.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went out there last year, it was like I had delay and another flight delay. Then we got all evacuated from the airport.
Oh, no.
There was a fire somewhere or possible fire. It was the worst day of travel I've ever had. I ended up just getting a flight to Cleveland and then driving 2 hours. So guess what I'm doing?
Going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
What I'm doing this year, I'm polarized on going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Because one instance, my friend's father, his band is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which are Stray Cats.
Yeah.
Stray Cats should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And then on the other hand, my buddy Glenn, who is in Deep Purple, Glenn Hughes, is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I'm torn. It's like, I want to go for the whole reason, but then I also want to be like, screw you guys. You guys should have Stray Cats in there.
Yeah, but there's so many bands, so little nominations.
That's the other thing.
Give it time.
I know.
I just had to go like 15, 20 years before they got in.
There's so many bands, that I know that have not been nominated, and I want to go.
No, you have to go. I've done, and it's really fun. Yeah.
I imagine it's like that. It's like that little part of when you would go into like a Hard Rock cafe.
Yes.
But like on a million.
Yes.
I just remember like going to the Hard Rock Hotel in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing the Prince stuff. At the time, they had the one of him where he had his ass hanging out of the outfit.
Right.
And I just remember how small he was.
Yeah.
But I started looking at his guitar, and as a guitar player, he's one of the most underrated guitar players.
Agreed.
If you talk to another guitar player, they all will say, "Oh yeah, Prince is amazing."
Yeah.
But like average normal music listener is like, Prince. Really? And I'm like, dude, he's so good. And it's that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame one with Tom Petty, where George Harrison, my guitar gently weeps.
But then Prince steps up and kills it. Everybody's jaw on the stage was on the drop.
Yeah. And I heard he didn't even show up to sound rehearsal.
I heard the same thing.
He just showed up
and did his thing.
And just did his thing. And he always looked so fly doing whatever he did. Like he had the cool hat, just perfectly tilted.
Yeah.
The same red matching his red shirt, that beautiful Telecaster.
But also the calm confidence.
He knew he was good. He played every instrument.
Yeah.
There's all a few of those guys.
Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah. Kravitz is one of them.
Yeah.
Dave Grohl.
Yeah. He's my favorite rock star these days.
He is?
Oh, yeah. Because he's a nice guy.
I was within an earshot of him at the Rainbow one time.
God, I like the Rainbow.
The Rainbow, yeah. And for anybody who doesn't know, the Rainbow is this legendary
bar and
grill right next to the Roxy Theater, which is just like a block up the street on Sunset Boulevard from the Whiskey A Go Go, which created bands like Van Halen and The Doors, and it's just infamous. So if you don't know what we're talking about, like it's literally this like 2-block strip.
The Sunset
Strip, which, now it's 2 blocks.
Right.
It used to be miles. And I remember seeing Dave Grohl, I was like, oh shit, because he was talking to Lemmy. And I was like, and then I turned around and Dave Grohl's gone. But of course, anytime I saw Lemmy at the Rainbow, I had to go up to him and be like, you're so amazing.
Yeah.
And he was like the most down to earth, so down to earth.
I shared a dinner at the Rainbow with him. He sat at my table, and it was random because he knew one of the girls that was it was my birthday party. I was in my 20s living out there, and it was me, my buddy Amir from
How we met.
from Orgy and Julian K. and a couple of girls. Lemmy knew one of the girls and sat down and hung out and had pizza with us.
Back to the conversation of people who can play every instrument amazing.
Oh yeah.
My new one is, and I think when he first came into the public sphere of like who he was, he didn't get the props because I think a lot of people thought there was a lot of nepotism, and that's Wolfgang Van Halen.
Oh, right.
I think everyone thought he only got there because his dad's Eddie, and he's the son, and his uncle's the drummer, and he's still in it for Michael Anthony. I can honestly say that on all those records, he's playing everything. He's playing everything.
Right.
He's good. And my buddy is in that band with him. My buddy Ronnie is in Mammoth.
Mammoth, yeah.
And they're doing the Metallica tour and all that.
Oh.
He's just like, dude, the guy is just so good. And I think like when I see him do that, I'm like, okay, there's a chance that rock music will continue with younger generations, because if you think about who the most iconic rock and roll stars are today, they're all in their 50s.
Yeah.
It's strange. There's not anyone who's like
25, 30 years old.
doing it. Yeah. And so I'm just like, all right, Wolfie, you're leading the way.
Carry the torch. Well, I saw him on that Taylor Hawkins tribute
Yeah.
that they broadcast, and he played guitar on
Yeah.
a couple of Van Halen songs,
Yeah.
and he nailed it. Sounded just like his dad.
The dude can play.
Yeah.
I would love to actually ask him some questions. It's not about asking about Eddie. It actually is asking about him. I know people who feel that because their parents do one thing, they feel this unspoken pressure to go in that path.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel that was ever the thing. I could be way off. I don't know. I've never met Wolfgang, so I don't know.
Yeah, Nora.
But he's badass. Fucking badass.
Agreed.
We just had a really great little chat right now. So for everybody, this is Mark.
Hey, everybody.
And let's talk first about what we're gonna do with your hair. Tell me all your favorite things, your not so favorite things. You got a full head of hair, man. This is amazing.
Thank you.
And you got a cool beard.
Yeah, it's all pandemic related. When we went into lockdown,
You locked down.
I locked down hard, March of 2020, and stopped going to the barber, stopped shaving. And I had
Had you ever had long hair before that?
yeah,
Okay.
yep.
Awesome.
So what am I liking now?
Yeah. What do you like him? What do you feeling is good?
I'm liking it's a disguise or a new reinvention.
Yeah.
And people remember the beard.
Yeah.
So regarding my beard, just trim it up, get some of the straggly ends.
Are you thinking, because like right now, see how it gets hollow right here
It
instead?
does.
Do you want to kind of do this?
Yeah.
Do you want it to be straight across like Billy Gibbons, ZZ Top? Because there's just more straight.
Yeah.
And then there's also the more like, I call it like the Viking, where it's a little bit more like shape.
Taper. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think you need to start with the straight line just to see how it works out.
Let's do that.
Because anything else is going to start involving taking length off.
Right.
Going this way.
Which I'm not really ready to do just yet.
Okay.
I'm having fun with a long
This is cool.
statement beard.
I love it.
I'm digging having long hair again.
You should.
And
So I'm asking, Mark, what's your age? Do you mind?
I don't mind. I'm 59 this year. I'm
Did
gonna
you just have a birthday? Or are you turning 59?
turning 59 in September.
Oh, cool.
And I'm embracing the grays. You can see me at the temples. It's
So cool.
I don't mind it. It's awesome. I'm just owning who I am, and that feels great.
It's called pro-aging.
Yes.
Not about trying to cling to the youth balloon that's slowly slipping out of your hands and, oh no, there's my youth. You know, it's not that. It's about embracing, like, look, I am getting older, but like, there's things I can do to keep myself still looking good.
Right.
That I'm not trying to like turn back the clock 45 years.
Right. I'm pro-aging.
Yeah.
So I think just follow the lines and take the split ends off.
Yeah, keep it long.
Keep it long.
Do you ever wear your hair up?
Yep.
Okay. And do you wear it like in a ponytail? Do you kind of like wrap it and wear it like a whole knot?
I've not learned the knot thing, but with a hair tie, I will double it up. And
So it kind of gets it up off your neck.
exactly.
Yeah, because you are, in some cases, you're outdoors.
Yes.
And it's hot. They don't have fans in that part of the arena. Do that or do that.
Well,
Do they have AC? You get AC. It's on your rider.
it's on my rider. Actually, with Casey and the Sunshine Band, we carry crew fans. that we set up if we're in an outdoor venue.
Yeah.
And it's just stagnant or humid.
You need moving air.
Moving air.
Yeah.
I get 2, the guy on stage gets 2, and we're happy campers.
All right. Well, here, I'm going to put a case on you. Huge fan of dry hair cutting because, as they say, dry don't lie. What does that mean? That means everything we cut is how it's going to be. There's no surprises. So I don't know if your wife had ever said that phrase before.
No.
Yeah.
But she used to do dry haircuts.
Yeah.
And sometimes she would get the spritz bottle and spray it wet. And I never asked her why.
For me, there's a couple like hair styles or haircuts, I should say, where I find it's way easier to do it wet. And when I use the word easier, I don't mean it's actually physically easier. It just means that the method of getting the outcome is more streamlined. So that's my definition of easy. But doing something that is, quote, easier, the easy way out, doesn't always give you the same consistent, like, results, if that makes sense.
It makes sense.
At least, I mean, maybe, I don't know, you'd let me know about audio and music, you know?
Oh, our workflow is totally, it's Groundhog Day. You know, we set up, we run the cables the same direction. On the drum kit, we put them in the same place in between the legs of the cymbals and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then we do the microphone check and wait for the band to show up. So it's all
Predictable.
Let's
say somebody happens to move at that one time because of the venue, you go, okay, like you do it for that one venue, but the next venue, you go right back to where you're starting.
Correct.
And that's to me like very much like haircut. And like I know that like I'm gonna have to make some changes. Like somebody's hairline is growing up or something's going down, and those are the nuances of that particular person. In your case, it'd be like the venue, right? Oh, the nuances. Like I'm pretty sure Red Rocks in Colorado is a lot different than playing Coachella.
Correct.
I'm gonna go grab my scissors. They're on the other side of the room.
All right. Yeah, Red Rocks is one of my favorite venues in the world.
Really?
I don't know, in the world, easily.
Why? I've never been there for a venue.
For a show?
Never for a show. I've only been like hiking up the steps after a snowstorm.
Yep.
So I have no idea.
And I think they give off-hours tours, or you can hike through there.
Yeah, it's like there's
tour guides, yeah. Red Rocks, it's just magical. There's something there that is just makes I've never had a bad show there.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done maybe 8 or 9 shows over my career at Red Rocks.
Mm-hmm.
The catering backstage is phenomenal.
Doesn't matter who you're with. The catering's just good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah. And the crowd they're just so receptive and so fun. They used to have, years ago in the 80s when I started touring, they had a massage therapist that you paid $1 a minute to get a massage in your downtime. And I remember that was the first time I encountered that and just was blown away. Like I loved everything about Red Rocks, except the load in.
Yeah.
You have to cross-load your equipment off your semi onto box trucks, these smaller 20-foot trucks.
Yeah.
To get it up the hill. Very labor-intensive and time-consuming.
So, Mark, what is your title? Like, what is it that, like, if I met you on a plane and I said, so what is it that you do?
I would say I am the front-of-house audio engineer for bands on tour. My mixing board is set up in the audience, and I mix the sound that the audience hears. There's another sound man on stage that mixes the monitors for the band. And those can be ear monitors, like little earphones that are molded to their ear canals.
Mm-hmm.
Or it can be speakers on stage that they listen to. And that gives them a point of reference as to what note they're playing and if they're in time and in pitch with their other band members.
I've noticed a big move to the inner ear monitors with my friends.
Yeah. Well, it saves your hearing.
That's what I was going to ask. Innately, I imagine it would just be worse. But I don't know, because I imagine like there's the sound is now being piped directly into the ear canals.
Doesn't have to be as loud, and things are heard a lot easier. so you don't get that stage spill.
Okay.
When you don't have those in-ear monitors, you're hearing the drums from 10 feet away, let's say, and the guitar player's amp is 12 feet away. And so it depends on where you stand on stage as to what the sound is that you get.
Yeah.
There's consistency with the in-ear monitors.
I remember seeing those, thinking like how amazing the in-ear monitors would be great for singers, because I know from singing, if you plug your ears, you actually hear your actual voice.
And the intonation. Yeah.
Exactly. And then I was thinking for drummers, how great is it? Because now they can have the click track if they are playing to sampled or looped material.
Correct.
Then they can play perfectly in time. But outside of that, the guitar playing, I thought it would only make sense if you were like, playing arenas and you're slashing or like going like, halfway down the football field. It would make sense. But if you're playing like a small venue or even like a pretty decent size venue hall, like the Wiltern or something like that, where it's big, I'm like, is it really worth it? And you're saying this.
It is the consistency.
Cool. Almost everybody I know uses the inner ear.
Yeah.
I've never asked why.
You don't have to deal with the slapback or the...
What's a slapback?
Slapback is the echo off of the back wall of an arena or a venue, any kind of room.
And that changes from like sound check to like go time, because the people absorb
the blood bags.
Blood bags? Is that the technical term?
It is.
Oh my God. It just sounds like somebody would, like vampires would describe like the human race. Oh, the blood bag.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a colleague on a Beach Boys tour say that one day, and it cracked me up. I said, I've never heard it referred to as such, but I'm taking that with me.
How does somebody get into this career? Because I always feel that anything creative, may it be like photography, hairdressing, music, comedy, acting, you can go to a school that can provide you with knowledge. Like you could go and take audio courses. You could take all the audio engineering, probably for studio work, I'm imagining, because I know.
And live,
they have that now?
which is what I did.
Okay, I was going to ask you about that. So you can have the degree, like you could take all the acting classes, all the comedic improv classes, right? You could take all the hairdressing classes, you could take all the photography classes. And that's like the smallest part in a lot of the equation, I find. The other part of the equation is drive, ambition, and this pesky little thing I always call talent. Yeah, if you go to school and you get a degree in finance, more than likely you're going to get a job in finance. You get a degree in audio engineering for live, the likeliness, because those jobs are far less in the workplace.
Yeah.
So you can't just be okay, unless you can just be an okay sound engineer. I imagine in these things, you're not just okay, you have to be exceptional.
To reach certain heights within your career, yes. To work for name acts.
And this is what I'm interested in. Like, what does it take to get to like what you do and who you are with? You've worked with like some pretty big heavy fucking hitters.
Yeah.
Tell me your origin story, Mark.
Okay, I will. And then I'll go into what my thoughts are on how to further a career within this industry.
Please.
I went through high school. I cruised through without cracking a book and doing much homework, and I passed.
Where did you go? Where did you grow up?
In Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
And those study skills did not translate to university. And I thought I was going to be a dentist. That was my game plan. I had to figure out something. So I said, all right, well, I love medical and I've always loved going to the dentist. I know I'm an anomaly. And after the first year of being at University of South Florida, I failed miserably because I was staying out late going to see bands. I couldn't get up for my 8 a.m. biology class. I wasn't doing my homework like I should have been. I was working part-time at a grocery store. Buddy of mine there said, there's a trade school, a vocational school in Orlando, just an hour and a half from where I grew up, that teaches you how to make records. You can be an audio engineer. And I had always had a passion for music. I went to my parents, told them about this. They cut me a deal. They said, look, we're tired of you wasting our money and your time. You got to figure something out. So They paid half the tuition to an audio school that's still in existence. It's one of the largest in the nation.
Really?
Called Full Sail. I went there. I did great. I excelled and found my passion. Now, you mentioned you can take all the classes in photography, you can take all the training you can get and still not be where you need to be. That was the case. I graduated and still didn't know some very basic things about audio, which
I'm just curious.
how to plug in the signal flow of a microphone. When you plug in a microphone to a mixing board, how it transfers through that cable and out to the speakers, and just, like I said, basics in audio. But they had an internship program, and after I graduated, my instructor helped me get an internship in California. We sent my name out to about 6 or 8 different production companies that provide PA systems and lighting for tours. So the company that showed the most interest was based in Los Angeles, and they said, we'll cut you a deal. You come out here for a month, work for free as an intern. You have what it takes. We will send you on the road with Diana Ross as a crew member.
Okay.
And here I was, 20 years old. I said, sign me up. I'm in.
What year is this?
85. I flew out there. I worked in the warehouse, painting speaker boxes, making cables, loading semi-trucks, just all kinds of work to learn the basics. At the end of the month, they pulled me in the office and said, we have good news and bad news.
Oh, no.
The good news, or the bad news, is we're not sending you out on Diana Ross like we promised. There's no room on the tour bus for you. There's 12 bunks, and you're number 13.
Lucky number 13.
Yeah. The good news is we're hiring you full-time, paying you an hourly, and the next tour to come through the shop, we will pay you 3 times what we were going to pay you on Diana Ross. So being a patient man, I said, I'm good with that. The next tour to come through was a Japanese heavy metal band called Loudness. They were the Japanese equivalent to Van Halen at the time. And I did their tour and had a wonderful mentor named Brian Hendry that taught me, learn your frequencies. So you asked about how to jumpstart your career as an audio engineer. You've got to learn the frequency scale of what instruments produce, what they're capable of producing, what 100 hertz sounds like, what 3K sounds like, because that is invaluable.
I feel like the next time I decide to rewire my audio system for my 65 El Camino, I'm going to need you to help me with the EQ management of it all.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I struggle with. Like I'm good with understanding most of the frequencies, but then there's some that I'm like,
do I boost? Do I cut?
it sounds good on this one record, but then I'll put when I'm playing music, I was like, all right, cool. So I'll put my favorite song to ever mix in my car is a song by a band called Fear Factor. It's called Shock. Brutal. And they have this great 808 drop. So it's like the band goes, when the singer goes, shock, it goes, and I love it because that gives me the frequency spectrum to understand, will this work when I listen to Skrillex? Will this work when I listen to Dr. Dre? Because those low 808 tones, right? Those like hip hop, dance beats. But then for the rest of the song, it's heavy metal. So it's like, oh, it's a Newman. And if it will sound great for Fear Factory, then it'll sound great when I listen to AC/DC or Tom Petty, right? Because they're not going as well.
Right.
So that's my mixing song.
Got it.
It doesn't always work. It's so hard to mix, because then I also God, it's annoying.
Well, that's interesting because I have tunes that I'm very familiar with that I use to EQ and tune the PA system daily.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So my idea is not crazy?
Not crazy at all.
Oh, wow.
No, every audio engineer does that. They have
their go-to.
It's an industry joke that it's usually Steely Dan.
Why?
Because the way the recordings were made, they're just really well done.
Price is not Michael Jackson. Isn't he? His stuff is... so one of my
Trying to think if I've ever heard an engineer use Michael Jackson. I use another band, Crowded House, but not because it's the perfect recording. It's because there is enhanced mid-range that can be abrasive. But if I've smoothed the EQ out on my PA system, it'll sound okay.
So that's good. So you're using something that's maybe not like the cleanest recording. You're using something that's a little jarring.
Yep.
Way.
Yep.
And those mid-range tones are like, some of those are guitars.
Correct.
Like there's some guitar bands where when you isolate the guitar apart from the band, it's like so crunchy. It's like almost like annoying, you know? You're like, how is this sequence sounding good?
Yeah. Well, that's the trick. Mid-range frequencies, the human ear is designed to pick up mid-range frequencies more so because of human speech. The snare drum, the guitars, the voices, some keyboard parts, they all compete for the same sonic space.
Interesting.
So part of the trick to being a mix engineer is finding space for all those different instruments.
So you ended up in 85 going on tour with this band called Loudness.
Yeah. And from there, the sound company sent me out on tour with Ronnie James Dio, Ozzy Osbourne, Metallica. They were the go-to sound provider in the 80s for heavy metal. Their client list was Motley Crue, Judas Priest, Ozzy, Black Sabbath, Ronnie James Dio. I toured with most of those bands I just mentioned.
And were you the front of house engineer for all of those?
No.
Different levels.
Yeah, I was an A2.
What's an E2?
An audio assistant.
Okay.
And I would fly the PA in the air. Every morning, we get riggers to set up the shackles and all the steel cables that fly the PA up into the air, and we plug in the speakers, then we mic the stage, and we test it, and then the show happens.
So were you on that infamous, like, Ozzy Metallica tour?
I was.
Every time I read about that, I imagine, like, and I've always wondered this, and so I get to now ask you. I didn't know you were a part of this.
1986, it was the Ultimate Sin tour, and Metallica were touring behind the release of Master of Puppets. Cliff Burton was the bass player.
I can only imagine.
He was so cool.
He seemed so cool.
He was so cool.
So here's my question. When you were watching Metallica in 86, when you watched them, did you realize the greatness?
Yes.
You did.
I knew you were going to ask that, and that's why I jumped at the answer.
Please.
I could tell there was something special about them, and especially something special about those songs.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because we were all right around the same age at the time, and we bonded over skateboarding. I carried a skateboard with me on tour, and they had a deal with a skateboard company. They had issued a Metallica skateboard.
Right.
So we would always hang out and skate around the arenas after sound check together.
You and Hatfield.
Cliff wasn't a skater, but Kirk and
He's a surfer. I know that lot.
Right, and he also skateboarded.
That's so cool.
Fast forward about a month or two after the start of that tour, and we were somewhere in the middle of the country, like Kansas City, someplace. James fell off of his skateboard and broke his elbow.
I heard that because of these because there's a contract, like there's like a rule, apparently. I remember hearing something about this, like on VH1's Behind the Music, Metallica or something, where he can't skateboard on tour, or he can't skateboard before
leading up to.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. The details are fuzzy in my head.
I'm guessing it was based on this injury because we were on tour and he fell, had to go to the ER, broke his elbow, had a big cast. Lars and Kirk had to take the stage when the audience came in, and when it was their time for the show, they went up on stage and apologized and said, "We're not performing tonight because our lead singer is in the hospital getting his arm cast." Same day, great story. Same day, Ozzy shows up to sound check in a dress, black and white polka dot dress, drunk as a skunk with his hair in pigtails.
Why?
Good question. So this was a tour that Sharon had hired a security guard slash AA sponsor to keep him sober.
Oh, no.
It was 1986, and it was the height of his craziness. Right after, it was a couple of years after he had bitten the head off of the bat.
By the way, how's the length of this?
I'm loving it.
So what I did is I didn't leave it one length. I was only some like a little bit of movement. So when you wear your hair now, you have layers, but they're not going to look like layer 1, layer 2. It's going to have a little bit more like this flow.
Yeah.
So that way, if you're, headbanging or something,
Which I am apt to do.
you're doing this, it's gonna flow. It's gonna look cool. You're gonna have cool hair.
Yes. Thank you.
No, dude, this is fun. And then we're gonna get to your beard in a little bit, okay?
Cool. Ozzy's in a dress. He shows up to sound check, middle of the day, like 3 PM, without his security guard, and he's in drag with pigtails, and he's walking around to everybody just saying hi. He thought it was the funniest thing. And we're all cracking up, rolling on the floor, literally.
Yeah.
His security guard shows up like 10 minutes later, panic-stricken. Where's Ozzy? Where's Ozzy? I lost him. He ditched me. And he had gotten into a bottle of champagne and polished it off, and he was having fun. But that was the same day that James broke his elbow. I'll never forget.
I'm pretty sure the audience members were like, this is one whack show.
Exactly. Well, they sobered him up and he played the show.
Knowing that sound checks are usually before 3 p.m. most of the time, and it probably doesn't go on until about 9.
Right.
That's enough time to sober up.
Right.
If they can stop the intake at that very moment. if you go, we got to stop drinking. It's like, what time was that? Oh, 8 o'clock. Well, they go on an hour. You're fucked. But it's true though.
Yeah.
I'm just going to also shave up some of this stuff.
Please clean me up.
I was reading another article about that whole Metallica thing. It says, all right, if you're a guitar tech, it pays to know the songs because that guitar tech ended up filling in.
You are correct.
For James Hetfield.
Yes.
And it's just so funny to see James Hetfield. He's like, has his arm like this.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yes.
He looks like he's just like fist pumping or whatever it was.
Yeah. It was an odd cast position that they put his arm in.
Yeah.
And the guitar tech did know most of the songs, and he played from backstage behind the backdrop while James sang the songs. And that guitar tech went on to be the lead guitar player of Metal Church.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He had a music career after that, and he became a rock star.
My buddy was signed to Warner Brothers at the time. And he goes, oh, dude, we got to talk to this guy. He's on Warner Brothers with us. He's my label mate. And okay. I remember it happened on the corner of the Whiskey Go-Go, the infamous corner where everybody would always be passing out, right? So it's also the same street that Motley Crue used to live on. And the guy goes, this is my band. We're playing next weekend at the Roxy. And I was like, okay. And my buddy Stick's like, oh, dude, you gotta check them out. They're so good. And I was driving back down to Temecula, and I was like, cassette player, because everything had a cassette player at the time.
Yeah.
Now people are like, cool to buy cassettes.
Yeah.
I put it in, and I hear the most amazing band, and all I kept hearing as I'm like, dude, these guys are insane. And then I'm like, I have to go see him. So I ended up going to see him. The band's Linkin Park. There's a guitar player.
No way.
One player was passing out tapes. What? And I remember watching them, and I remember some people were like, I don't know, man, 2 singers, this and that. I'm like, are you not listening? This guy, Chester, was able to do something that like really only one other voice has been able to do, effectively screaming key, which is Kurt Cobain.
Right.
There's very few singers who can like scream where you feel things outside of, there's a lot of guys who can scream. We know this, but like,
with a musicality to it.
Yeah, it's like feedback is screaming, right? And then it's playing guitar with the distortion pedal.
Right.
And that's what Chester was able to do. He was able to like sing with distortion and then turn it off and sing beautifully.
Right.
I saw them play at the Roxy, and I was blown away. And then I didn't see them until 2001 Ozfest when they're opening the main stage. And all I kept thinking about is this stage still isn't big enough for them. At 2001. And then obviously
They blew up.
And I remember seeing that for the band called Foster the People,
Oh, yeah.
who opened up for the Beach Boys for a couple dates.
Yeah. Were you at either of those?
No.
Oh.
So there was a club called Detroit Bar in Costa Mesa. It's not there anymore. And for a month straight, they played Monday nights. It was free. I don't know when the Pumped Up Kick song came out, but it was like circulating as this unreleased like track after Coachella. I was like, haven't heard of this band, And somebody's like, oh, the band that the Pumped Up Kicks band is playing at Detroit Bar for free for like the next month.
Wow.
So it was like my friends and I went down, there was like 20 of us. By the end of that month, there was a line wrapped around, and the whole show, they switched the instruments and they're all playing and they're doing all this crazy stuff. I'm like, this band's going to be massive.
And they were.
So I was wondering, like, have you had any of these moments where you're like working for the upper band, right? And then you see the opener band in your garden. And I always heard this was like about the same thing with Motley Crue, and I heard the same thing about Metallica. They just say like, this band is
going places. I've had 3 of them.
Okay.
That come to mind immediately. One is the Metallica support act.
Yeah.
The other was I was working for Double Trouble, Austin duo that backed up Stevie Ray. And in 2000, 2001-ish, they put together their own thing. They recorded a record with guest lead singers and guitar players. And then they played Antone's, the famous blues club here in Austin.
Yeah.
The opening act was Los Lonely Boys.
Oh, really?
Who went on to win Grammys and top the charts and everything. So when I saw them, it was mind-blowing. They were awesome. The other was Billie Eilish.
Really?
2017, I was hired by a local sound company here in Austin to work South by Southwest. And it was at the Apple Music facility. They had rented out a venue here in town, and for 4 days straight had all kinds of artists perform like 3 to 6 songs each. I had not heard of any of these artists, and Billie Eilish was one of them. And when it was just she and her brother with some backing tracks, and he played guitar as well as keyboards on some songs. I was blown away. It was magic.
Really?
Yeah. And she didn't even have a record out yet.
Really?
It was before anything came out, but she had this underground buzz and enough notoriety to have Apple latch onto her and bring her out here for their showcase. Yeah. I went up to him afterwards and gave him my business card, and I said, hey, Phineas, I love your music. If you guys need a sound man, call me. I never got the call.
Doesn't hurt to try.
Doesn't hurt to try.
All right. So what do we do with this beer?
Well, remember that.
No, I don't remember that. You're going to have to remind me.
Remember that one of my colleagues in Casey and the Sunshine Band, the bass player, is a fine artist. He's a painter.
Okay.
Very accomplished. And he told me about a year ago, hey, if and when you ever trim your beard, I want the trimmings to make a paintbrush from it.
Okay.
So
are we making a paintbrush today, Mark?
We're going to make a paintbrush.
Fuck yeah, we're making a paintbrush. All right. I've never made a paintbrush before, but today we are. And we're going to put the remnants of this in here?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe I'll leave it up to you what to trim.
Well, we're gonna do this together.
Okay.
All right. This is gonna be fun. I've had people say, hey, can I keep my ponytail to make a wig out of it? But I've never had a paintbrush.
Well, apparently Salvador Dali used to use his mustache to paint his paintings with.
Really? Mm-hmm. It wouldn't surprise me because I'm pretty sure like horse hair. I mean, think about it. There's hairbrushes to this day still made of the boar hair of boars. Big hair. So it doesn't surprise me that somebody would want to do this. And also that the diameter of facial hair is different than the diameter of, like, let's say, the hair tail of a horse.
Right.
Even though they might be the same diameter, the smoothness or the roughness of facial hair is going to have a lot more uniqueness to it. It's not going to be smooth.
Right.
You know, so if he's looking for something that's probably more of a distressed but yet smooth paintbrush, like because the motion is smooth, right?
Right.
So you're not going to have to agitate your hand in order to get
Oh, I didn't think of that.
the distressedness or like the inconsistencies of the brush.
Yeah.
I was an art major, so play 4 instruments. I draw, I paint, photography.
Renaissance man.
No, well, I'm the last one you want on your softball team, right? Like, you may want me to do your logo, your softball photo.
Yeah. Take your photo.
I'm great for that. So let's do this. All right. So here's what we're doing. I'm going to use a clip and then have it mark it.
Cool.
All right. And since your beard is kind of like blending in with this. Okay. So I'm thinking this is where it starts getting hollow right here. So here's what I want to know. Do you want to go higher or lower from there? I mean, you can just.
Yeah. Let me look.
Actually, I could do one better.
Oh, go 1/4 inch lower. Yeah. You're there.
Cool.
Right. Are there.
That gives me an idea.
Yeah.
I've never done this before, so this is good.
Where do you want the amputation to be? That's what I thought.
What you should do now is you need to ask the guy from who wants you to do this. Mm-hmm. He needs to make you even something small with your own facial hair. You need like a little 1 by 1 foot sort of.
Right.
Just be like, hey, I just need and just lower it.
Yeah.
Because remember, I'm going to cut above it.
Oh, right.
So we can make it lower.
Right. That's it.
So okay, so let's get it a little bit lower.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll cut it so like right above here.
Cool.
Okay. So what I'm going to do another one down below to make sure it doesn't like fall through or something like that.
Yeah. You talk about ponytails and people wanting to do wigs or donate it.
Mm-hmm.
What are the donation requirements for Locks of Love or a similar program?
I don't know the most up-to-date terms because I remember somebody saying that they've changed, but the last time I remember, and it seems to be pretty standard, is they like the hair to not be colored, and they want anywhere between a minimum of 8 inches or longer of non-color hair. Now, I have heard that certain organizations don't care about the coloring. So that means like if your hair was, all of your hair was colored platinum white, like bleach or lightener that was lifting your hair lighter, that would not be good because if they want to lighten the hair to change it for something, they can't do it. The idea behind having the hair being in a virgin state is that when they're making the wig, if they need to do any sort of chemical process in order to match the color or change the perming it or whatever it may be, now they have the flexibility to do that.
Okay.
The client will come in saying, hey, I want to donate all of this hair. And they usually have a bag like you brought with you, but they'll also have the requirements because they want to make sure that it's to that particular organization. And if they don't have that, and I ask, and they say, well, I think it is. Well, you're the hairdresser. I don't. There's lots of organizations. So I then go now at the time, we didn't have the iPhones. We maybe had a Palm Pilot, and it took like 9 hours to get some text or now that we have the iPhones, it's like I can go through and look up and find the requirements immediately.
Got it.
But I prefer, and if somebody's client, if you're wanting to do this, bring in the exact stuff, bring in the paper, say like print it out.
And you can follow it.
Yeah.
At some point, I'm going to cut my hair.
Really?
Yeah. At some point. I just don't know when. And I would love to donate it to somebody in need.
Yeah. And again, you want to make sure that that having the natural gray color is something that they would also take too. Mm-hmm. So we're going to do it right here, okay?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Ready?
Ready.
And soon we will have a paintbrush.
Wow.
And it's straight. Look at that.
Look at that.
Now we have a little paintbrush.
Yeah. That could go up to my buddy.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to put it in here. Mm-hmm. Let's put it in the bag like we're collecting up and in some Boondock Saints or something. Put it in the bag. All right. Okay. I'm going to put this down here. Sir?
Kind of looks like a voodoo talisman of sorts.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like a little broom.
Yeah. A whisk broom.
Yeah. All right. So now we just got to make sure that your beard is just even and straight, which is not going to be that hard to do. These scissors I have are great. They don't push hair. Have you ever like cut anything and then it gets longer?
Right? Yes.
So it's the way these are designed, like it sucks the hair kind of back in a way where it doesn't push the hair.
That's awesome. I'm thinking rather than having a straight across ZZ Top sort of look,
Yeah? You want to round out a little?
Well, round out a little bit on these two sides because it's kind of square.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Who makes these suitors?
It's a brand called Hattori Hanzo.
Japanese?
They use Japanese still. They're not made in Japan, but they're sharp as shit. and I teach for them. I like them. I've used them for a long time. I just started recently teaching for them because we talked about in passing a lot about having me like join their like educational team. It's just I had so much going on at that time, and to bring one more thing in to the arena of being responsible for, it's like, well, look, I'm not going to have time at this current pace to even be there for my soon-to-be son. And so, it took a number of years. Things kind of calmed down and all that, and now I'm teaching for them. So it's cool. Yeah, I mean, I knew eventually it would happen. It just, we just needed...
Timing wasn't right.
Exactly. And I'd rather say no and miss out on stuff than say yeah and, mess things up. The power of no and not saying yes to every opportunity that comes your way is just as beneficial as saying yes to the opportunity that does come your way.
Yes, I agree. Same with my career.
Yeah.
Yeah, or my industry. I can't devote the energy, time, etc. to it.
Yeah.
That it requires.
Yeah, because you're leaving a couple of days to go do Coachella, man.
I am.
Have you done Coachella before?
Never.
Oh, have you ever been to Coachella?
Never. Have you?
I have. I like to think I went when it was more
manageable.
It was 2 days.
Okay.
2 days, 1 weekend.
Wow.
And I went in the early years. I was like 22, 41, so about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was the year that Pixies got back together.
Oh, I remember that.
With The Cure.
It was a big deal.
Yeah, huge.
Big deal.
And I was like, and everybody said, oh no, they're going to go on tour afterwards. I'm like, look, maybe they will. Maybe they plan on it. Maybe Frank Black and Kim Dill are going to have a fight. And they're not. I don't know. Because, I mean, that's like a pretty well-known thing that's why the Breeders started.
Right.
But
put it heads, yeah.
Exactly. Oh my God, a band with heads getting, not seeing eye to eye. I talked to, Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
To every great band.
Every band.
I'm like, I have to see them. And so I went, and it was great because that was the year the Flaming Lips played.
Mm-hmm.
It was such a great lineup. The Cure, Flaming Lips, Radiohead, Thursday played randomly. Was it Thursday or Sparta? I know Sparta played. And Sparta is the offshoot of the At the Drive-In.
Right.
El Paso.
Yeah.
So it was just really a cool thing. Oh, and you know who also played that same on the side stage? I remember I told this to him too. He was funny. We're like cruising around in Vegas, Brandon Flowers, and I was like, the first time I ever saw you play, it's like, when? And I was like, side stage Coachella, before the record had really came out. It was the Somebody Told Me song. It was all over K-Rock. And I remember watching them. And then that was like 22. And then I had not seen them live until I cut his hair. Oh, like over 10 years.
Uh-huh.
Huge growth. I mean, from side stage to selling out an arena.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so cool to see, like early day Killers, and then seeing, them on the, I forget which record was it, Battleborn, and go like, oh my gosh, like, of course it's going to be 9 days. It's been 10 years. Have you ever seen them live?
Yeah, I went last year here in Austin to see him.
Oh, yeah, so we both were at the same show.
Johnny Marr opened.
Yeah. I was telling people, you guys are the Killers.
Yeah.
And it's not just, I'm not biased. I'm really not. Like, they are really like what I think of what a frontman, a rock show, an arena show.
True. And the Foo Fighters.
Which I've never seen.
Oh.
Never seen the Foos.
Oh.
I would love to.
Great energy.
I would love to.
Yeah, they're really good. Yeah.
I just have never made it. There's a bunch of bands I've never seen. I've never seen Metallica.
But I think Metallica, as well as Foo Fighters, might be doing some shows this year.
They are. Metallica's playing Arlington.
Well, road trip. That's an easy road trip.
I know, but that same weekend, so that's like on a Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sunday night, because it's the off night of the tour, Pantera's playing here in Austin.
Ooh.
Which I would love to see.
Who's singing for them now?
Phil?
No,
Zach Wild's on.
That's right. That's what it was.
Who is one of the, That was my first choice if I would do it.
He's great.
He's great. And then they have the drummer from
Anthrax. I did a tour with Anthrax. They were the support act for Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
And me and the other sound guys, we didn't get them. This would have been 1986.
You didn't get?
We didn't get Anthrax. We used to joke that every song sounded like they were each in a race to see who would finish the song first.
Huh. I'm not somebody who just loves all a genre because I like that genre. Like there's metal bands I absolutely love, and there's metal bands I absolutely just
don't care for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you don't like that? Like, no, I don't. Like growing up, I was not the biggest Led Zeppelin fan.
Nor I.
Because everyone told me you had to like Led Zeppelin playing guitar. And I think because I got in, my first favorite band was Nirvana, which is punk rock. Mm-hmm. The whole idea that you have to do this kind of like pushed it. It was like, no, I don't. No, I don't. Because you said I had to.
Push back, yeah.
Exactly. It wasn't until like years later, I don't know how it took me till I was about 19 to hear Immigrant Song.
And you were blown away.
Yeah. I was like, oh man, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
But then there's like other groups right now that are like not even metal or even rock music that like I'm like hooked to the song right now. There's a song called Kill Bill.
Oh, I don't know it.
By this, I don't know how you say it, but it's SZA. Okay. I don't know if you pronounce it like how ZEQ, that group was pronounced Sue. I don't know how you pronounce it, but the song is called Kill Bill. And it's like such a catchy pop song. It's like infectious. I just keep hearing, I listen to our repeat right now. And so
SZA.
SZ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what it stands for. I just know the beautiful girl singing voice, catchy. I don't even know what the lyrics are.
Unlike a lot of my colleagues, I'm not a mercenary. I still am a music fan.
Yeah.
And that's what mindset I have when I mix the shows.
Yeah.
I know that some people in the audience, it's their first time seeing this band.
Yeah.
And I want them to go away thinking they saw the best show of their life. This was a long time coming, Ted. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I was actually, I mean, I just gotta say, like, you were like so sweet to my son when we were over at your house, when Ryan and Amir were over. Mm-hmm. Like, you're so nice. You're like, can he have juice? I'm like, yeah, he can have juice. I'm like, I appreciate that. Like, he loved playing on the drums.
Yeah, it was a great memory for me too. I love kids. I always have. I've always, even as an adult, sat at the kids' table at Thanksgiving and Christmas. And my wife and I didn't have children prior to her breast cancer diagnosis, but we were always the fun uncle and fun auntie.
Well, I can see it. I could totally see it. My son, he wanted to actually go back to your house. I said, can we go to the house with the drums?
Anytime.
I was like, no, Tab. He was really not.
Anytime. Are you kidding me?
Well, we have drums now.
Okay.
So he doesn't play the drums like he was playing them. I think because there was juice involved. I think he loved that he had pineapple juice for the first time. And he was like, yeah, we need more of this juice. So excited about that.
Go-go juice.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah.
How old is he now?
He's turning 6. Wow. And the end of this month, he'll be turning 6. He decided that he doesn't want to play guitar right now. So he stopped taking the lessons. He
might come back to it.
You know, I think he is. I think 6. I mean, he started lessons at 5. I didn't start guitar till 10. Mm-hmm. I wanted a guitar before that. Did you ever play instruments?
Yeah.
I know.
Piano lessons as a kid and guitar lessons.
Which one did you want to do first?
Interesting. I have to think about that. Well, it was convenient with the piano because the across the street neighbor taught piano.
Okay.
So I took that from the age of 10. And then when I got to be 13, I wanted an electric guitar.
Okay.
So that's how it transpired.
I always ask that because I feel like parents have this idea that you have to learn piano before you can learn any other instrument.
Right.
And I don't disagree with learning piano. I just don't think it's like the groundwork for all instruments.
True. I think because we had a baby grand piano in our house growing up, and my dad had taken piano. That was why I kind of gravitated towards it.
We have a piano, we have, as you know, in here, there's plenty of guitars. I think there's a part of my son that wanted to play because he saw me have fun, but he did say it hurt his fingers.
Yeah.
And that it was hard and that he didn't like that. It was difficult. Now when people come over, sometimes he grabs his guitar and he tries to show that he can play.
Cool.
Like, so I think it's like most things, if you back off, sometimes they latch onto it.
Exactly.
I just want him to have passion about something.
What's his passion as a 5-year-old, almost 6?
Hard to say. I wouldn't say it's a passion, but I'll say one thing is his emotional EQ is like through the roof. Like he truly cares about other people and other things. So he's like a very
empathetic.
Yeah, very nurturing. Like he's really good. He's great with his little brother about that stuff. So I'm wondering if that's going to play out to a career choice that I have yet to put on my radar, or those that native skill set he has is going to translate into something.
Only time will tell.
I know. Who knows? But he loves, what's the word I'm looking for? He loves imaginary play. And he's super expressive with his facial expressions. So I would not be surprised if he ended up getting into
acting.
Yeah. I mean, he's a handsome little shit too. So he would be a complete little, I mean, if he could act, he'd be a heartthrob in a second.
Yeah,
like,
the new Brad Pitt.
That's actually one dude I think would be really cool to cut his hair. He's never had bad hair.
Never.
Great hair. Great style. And he's in architecture.
Right.
Like enough that he could literally be an architect.
Right. Did you hear the latest on him? Apparently, he had multiple properties that he owned in LA. Okay. He allowed his neighbor to live in one rent-free until they passed away, and they lived to be 103. They just passed, and the story came out. He seems like a good guy.
He seems like a really cool dude.
I know.
If somebody asks me who my favorite actor is, I actually always say I tell everybody it's Brad Pitt. And I think people are like really shocked. My 2 favorite things is like 12 Monkeys and Fight Club.
Yeah. I love 7 too.
Seven's a great one. 7's one of my favorite movies because the bad guy wins.
Right.
It's rare. Yeah. It's very rare that the bad guy wins. I didn't even know he was my favorite actor. It took somebody going, every movie you love, you just like ramble off. The main actor is always Brad Pitt. And after that point, I realized I just must be a huge Brad Pitt fan.
Yeah. Own it.
I mean, Fury was great. Inglourious Bastards.
Benjamin
Button. What's the other one?
Inglourious Bastards. Oh, yeah, that was great.
So good. What was that other one he played? He played the fitness trainer, Burn After Reading.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Plays the dizzy guy.
He was in tracksuit in the...
Yeah. So funny in that movie. Like that was me going oh, you can do really good comedy stuff. Like it was just, and then Ocean's 11. I mean,
right.
So many, all these movies. So these are great movies. So it's like somebody said, is he a really great actor or does he pick a really great movie? So I think he's a great actor who picks great movies that work with his acting type.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like he's picking a role for like
the money.
Maybe with Troy.
Oh, right.
That one. I have that as a movie I had issues with.
I didn't see it, but
I don't know if you're missing out.
What's interesting? I feel like my career, the last half of it, is the same way. I choose bands or bands choose me that we work well together. Like it's like choosing a script.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to work for a band who I don't think I can make sound good. I've been lucky that way. In fact, one of my favorite stories about getting a gig.
Yeah.
I had done a Black Crowes tour, a couple of them, and they took a hiatus, broke up, and...
That's one of my favorite rock bands too.
Yeah, they're great.
They just played.
I know. Did you go?
No, I heard after I heard that they played. I wish I would have known.
Yeah, I didn't go because it was part of that CMT thing.
Yeah.
I avoided downtown, but the production manager, who had been with the Crowes, called me one day and said, I'm now with Blondie and we're looking for a sound engineer. Are you busy? I kid you not. I stood up from my desk, walked over to my stereo, which was already playing, and I held the phone up to the speaker for about 10 seconds And I said, you've called the right guy, because on my stereo was Blondie's greatest hits.
So cool.
So cool, the universe. And I go, who do I call? And I called their manager, and I've been with them for 20 years, off and on.
That's
my longest tenured artist that I work with.
I'm pretty sure there's a couple bands or artists that have like their core that just doesn't leave them.
Yes. Jimmy Buffett has a core crew like that.
Yeah.
Springsteen.
It wouldn't surprise me one bit, as Springsteen does.
Yeah.
Like, does Billy Joel?
I don't know, because I've never known anybody in his camp.
Yeah.
You too. The sound man's been with him since day one.
Metallica.
With Big Mick.
Big Mick. I think that what you do is interesting, because like you never hear anybody. I always interview the artist or the guy who like recorded the record. But like, from having so many friends that have worked in the music industry as like the guitar tech, people think if the guitar tech's the guy who just loads the equipment.
Right.
So that's what the roadie does.
Right.
The guitar tech is one who's like making sure these instruments are precision tuned, making sure everything is like beyond perfect. So the artist can just go out there and be the artist. You don't have to think about anything.
Right.
I always tell everybody, look, if you're in an arena and it's general seating on the bottom, I get it. You want to be close to the front. I get it. But if you want to have the best sound, the best show, you get as close to the center of that sound booth.
True.
And then you will get the best sound ever.
True.
I remember I saw Marilyn Manson in the sound booth at Ozfest.
Oh, wow.
It was 2001, and I'm like, perfect. I watched every show until Manson on the side of the stage. So it was weird. It was like hearing a band rehearse, because nothing was piped through the PA.
Right.
You have a monitor speaker system, and it was cool to be there.
Right. Because the vantage point is different.
Vantage point zero, but the sound was like the worst sound ever.
Well, with the some of the bands that I toured with, they would sell VIP tickets to the side stage, and we would have to set up some speakers for those guests so they would have decent sound.
I think that's great that they put speaker.
I know. It was a pain in the ass for me.
Oh, I bet.
I would always pawn it off to the monitor engineer. Look at my beard and my hair is the same length now.
Well, almost. The hair's longer. I think this is, the hair's a little longer. This is good. You see how it has like a little bit of this like
Movement. I'm into it.
Jerry Cantrell long layers. Allison Shades.
Yeah. I'm loving it.
That's good. Mark, thanks for stopping by and letting me give you your first haircut since 2020.
Yeah.
This is crazy. I mean, you have great hair.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoy your hair.
I do. I love it. I feel younger. I don't know why.
But it's awesome.
Yeah, not that I felt old before, but it just feels like lighter.
Yeah.
The weight, because this is the first time I've grown a beard of this length.
Yeah.
I've only done a couple, 3 months here and there, and then just shaved that off over the whole course of my lifetime.
Yeah, well, and this is some dedication.
This is dedication.
Because you said earlier that you wanted something to kind of like a new reinvention of yourself. I think that like through moments in our life, we kind of go through these like, all right, I got to start over with something, And for you, it was like, I'm just going to grow everything out.
Yeah, it was the pandemic. I tried twice to reinvent myself career-wise because, as you know, the music industry was decimated for 2 whole years.
Yeah.
Nobody worked. We all had questions about what are we going to do? What's it going to look like when it does come back? And those 2 career pivots didn't happen. And so the hair and facial hair thing was kind of the reinvention or
I mean, I don't know what you looked like before this.
Dana Carvey.
Really?
Everywhere I went, people said I looked like Dana Carvey.
So if you shave your face, you're going to look like Garth.
Yes.
Okay. Not that I say like Garth's bad, but this beard thing is just such a statement.
It really is.
I like it.
I'm liking it too because it's so antisocial at times.
Yeah, but like when I think of like music industry with beards, like Rick Rubin,
right?
He's had a beard forever.
That is so funny you brought him up. About a year and a half into my beard growth, people were saying, "Who are you? What are you doing?" People that know me for years. And I said, I feel like it's going to make me a better sound engineer, a la Rick Rubin.
Yeah.
I said, the sound waves will be captured in my hair and funneled to my ears differently. I used that as a shtick. Well, and you said it. That's funny.
I mean, there's only a few people in the music industry that have really long beards. ZZ Top being the most notable.
Right.
Rick Rubin being the second person. And outside of that, I don't know who has a really long beard. The only other person I could think
Big
of.
Mick.
Yeah.
But he's not on stage or in the public.
He's not in that limelight. Yeah.
Right.
And the only other person I could think of who had like a really noticeable thing like that was Dimebag Darrell, because his goatee was like pink and magenta.
Two that come to mind that I get sometimes jokingly. Oh shit! It's a country band.
I don't know a lot of the country guys.
Yeah, Oak Ridge Boys.
Okay.
The Oak Ridge Boys have a guy with a long white beard, and the bass player, he's a session guy, but he also plays with Phil Collins on tour, Lee Sklar.
Okay.
He's a LA session guy for last 40, 50 years, and he too has a long white beard. You asked what I looked like.
Oh my gosh. That's you with Dana Carvey.
It is.
All right. So can we do this?
Yeah.
What I'm going to do is I want you to send me that. And then when I do the video, I'm going to superimpose that above, like right there. This is amazing.
That was a random meeting on the street in Austin. Random. Yeah. And we're both wearing black button-up shirts.
And glasses.
Both have the same glasses frames. Both have the same haircut. Mine's just longer.
And you're like 6 inches taller.
Yeah. And if you look at our eye color and shape.
Yeah, it's like the same.
Look at that.
Was he surprised?
No. I wanted him to be surprised. So years earlier, a buddy of mine went to an LA fundraiser that Dana Carvey was performing at, and my buddy bought a ticket that got him backstage VIP access, meet and greet with Dana. And he knew this in advance. He took a picture of me.
Yeah.
And he says, "Hey, Dana, my name's Eric. I work with the Beach Boys, and my friend Mark is their sound engineer. Everywhere he goes, people say he looks like you." He takes a picture and he looks at it and he goes, "Oh, he's much more handsome than I am." Ha ha ha. They pose for a picture. Eric, and he has Dana sign that.
Yeah.
And Eric gives that to me at the next Christmas as a gift. And it says, "Stop being me, love Dana Carvey." About 5 years later was this random meeting here at Austin. I walked right up to him. He had a bunch of people and handlers. I just bum rushed it and said, "Hey, Mr. Carvey, my name's Mark. I haven't met you before, but everywhere I go, people say I look like you. And I'm the sound engineer for the Beach Boys." And I thought, oh, maybe that'll spur his memory. It didn't, but he turns and looks at me and he says the same line: "You're much more handsome than I am." So whether that's a stock answer or he really thought that my girlfriend at the time had the camera and she took that snapshot and that was it. That was 2 ships passing. So if I shaved my beard and I cut my hair, I'd probably look like him again, maybe.
When I see that photo and you told me you're a sound engineer, I wouldn't believe you. Because all the sound engineers I know all have like long hair or they have unique facial hair. Right. The guys in music. So like when they're characters. Yeah. They're like, like when Amir goes, "Oh, he does sound." I was like, of course he does. Of course he does. Look at him. He has sound. He looks like he does sound. Yeah. He looks like he belongs in music.
I know.
Yeah. That's awesome. You need to write an autobiography, man.
Yeah. I don't know.
Why not?
First reason is I don't want to breach their trust. And people have always said, "Oh," because I used to be amateur photographer, and they said, "Have you taken pictures on tour backstage?" I said, "No, they didn't hire me as the photographer. They hired me as a sound guy. And in those intimate moments or those private moments, I'm not going to breach their trust."
I respect that because there's a lot of things I don't ever be around some of the people I'm around, and I know you relate to this. You're there because of the trust.
Yes.
And you have these people as friends because of the trust.
Yes.
And if you breach that trust, you're not breaching one person's, you're actually breaching everybody you know who's at that same level of privacy and public scrutiny, right?
Right.
And so if you violate one trust, you violate it all.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Nirvana, one of your favorite bands.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to be doing sound for a band in LA called East of Gideon. They were just a early 90s LA band. Cool. I can't even describe them, but they got to open for Nirvana 2 shows in Honolulu. Whoa. They flew us over. The promoter flew us over from LA, and it was on their first club tour when the first record hit big.
Yeah.
And Smells Like Teen Spirit just blew up.
Yeah.
So this club date, it was the end of the tour, and it was way sold out, oversold.
Uh-huh.
And the stage was a postage stamp. They did their sound check, and Dave Grohl says to his drum roadie, strike my drums because the opener needs a drum riser. There's no room on the stage for their drum kit, so move mine out the way. And I met him years later, like 15, 20 years later, and told him that. And he thought nothing of it. He goes, yeah, that's what you do. So that's why he's my favorite rock star, because he's so down to earth and he's a good citizen.
See all the stuff he does with all the cooking for the people for the barbecue.
I know.
Helping all the people with that.
I know.
And I'm like, that's cool in my book.
Yeah. No, he's a good guy.
All right. Well, hair session is over. Thank you. We're going to probably keep talking after.
I know.
All right. Adios. Thank you, guys.